All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're stepping into the brilliant and, frankly, surprisingly intense world of Alfred Adler. But, we're not just going to rattle off dry psychology facts here. We are going to experience these ideas exactly how the source material lays them out, as a heated, dramatic debate. It's a massive clash of ideals that's probably going to challenge just about everything you think you know about yourself.
So let me ask you right off the bat, do you think the world is simple? And is happiness something you can literally just grab right this second? Now, if you're rolling your eyes or scoffing at that, hey, you are definitely not alone. It's so easy to see the world as this chaotic, complicated mess, right? The idea of instant happiness sounds totally absurd. But hold on to that skepticism for a second, because that puts you in the exact same mindset as the young guy at the center of our story.
This whole drama hinges on two wildly different personalities squaring off. In one corner, you've got this eccentric, completely unshakable philosopher, and in the other, a young man, the youth, who is dissatisfied, incredibly anxious, and honestly, pretty hot-blooded. He marches into the philosopher's study with one clear mission: to completely dismantle what he sees as ridiculous theories and basically force this old man to admit he's wrong.
The opening shots of this debate are fired right over the concept of past trauma. Now, most of us operate on Freudian logic, right? The idea that the bad things that happened to us in the past totally dictate who we are today. But the philosopher just drops a bomb on that idea. He says Adler completely throws that out the window. According to Adler, we aren't victims of our past at all. We aren't being pushed from behind by past trauma. Instead, we're actually being pulled forward by our present goals.
Well, you can just imagine the youth's reaction. He is furious. The very idea that he subconsciously chose his own unhappiness and his warped personality, it feels like a slap in the face. To him, he was either born this way or the world made him this way. So being told he actually manufactured his own misery just to achieve some hidden goal, oh man, he takes that as a deeply personal attack.
But the philosopher, he does not flinch. He delivers what he calls strong medicine. He looks the youth in the eye and tells him point blank, the past doesn't exist. It has absolutely zero bearing on the here and now. The only person deciding how you live in this exact moment is you. It's a blunt, shocking statement, and it completely pulls the rug right out from under the youth's entire worldview.
So this whole concept is called teleology. And the core of it is that to actually change, we have to stop looking in the rearview mirror and deny trauma entirely. The philosopher argues we literally fabricate negative emotions, like say anger or sadness, as tools to get what we want right now, not because something bad happened to us years ago. And the wildly optimistic flip side of this? People can change the very second they summon the courage to choose a totally new way of living.
Okay, so as the debate rages into the second night, the philosopher makes a claim that's even more extreme. He says that all problems, literally every single one, are interpersonal relationship problems. The youth is just in total disbelief at this point. Like, how could deeply internal personal struggles, hating how you look, or feeling like your life has no purpose, how could that possibly just boil down to relationship issues? It sounds nuts, right?
But the philosopher counters with this brutal truth. He tells the youth, you actually choose to dislike yourself. You're fabricating these intense feelings of inferiority because they give you a super convenient excuse to avoid other people. Just think about it. If you hate yourself, you have the ultimate built-in excuse to never put yourself out there. And if you never put yourself out there, you are completely protected from the pain of ever being rejected.
So how do we cure this intense fear of rejection? Well, the philosopher says we have to completely rewire how we see society. Sure, humans have natural differences. Age, gender, knowledge, but we have to stop treating those differences as disparities. Life is not some giant competition. We can't go around labeling people as superior or inferior. Instead, imagine everyone walking together on a vast, flat, horizontal playing field. We definitely aren't the same, but we are absolutely equal.
And that massive clash of perspectives brings us to the third night. This is really the ultimate turning point of the whole dialogue. The youth is desperate for approval from society, but the philosopher is about to take that desire and completely tear it to shreds.
When the philosopher tells him he has to stop living to satisfy other people, including his own parents, the youth is just devastated. He pushes back hard, totally terrified. I mean, to him, this sounds like pure anarchy. It feels so incredibly cold and selfish to just say, hey, I'm ignoring the feelings of the people who literally raised me.
But the philosopher stays totally calm. He explains that constantly trying to meet other people's expectations is actually an incredibly unfree way to live. Because if you're always adjusting your behavior just to make your parents proud, or to keep your boss happy, or to fit in with your friends, you aren't actually living your own life anymore. You're living theirs.
To break free from this, he introduces a highly practical tool called the separation of tasks. It's pretty simple. You just have to start asking, whose task is this? You see, you can only control your own choices and your own actions. How other people judge those actions, that is 100% their task. You can't intervene in their task, and you absolutely cannot let them intervene in yours.
Which brings us to the ultimate price of true freedom. To be genuinely free, you must literally not be afraid of being disliked. Now, this doesn't mean you go out of your way to be a jerk. It just means accepting that you have zero control over whether someone dislikes you or not. It is a really tough pill to swallow, but the second you have the courage to accept it, the heavy burden of all your relationships becomes instantly lighter.
Okay, just when the youth thinks he's finally getting it, the fourth night hits him with a total mind-bender. The philosopher points out this really harsh irony. People who obsess over how others view them, the ones desperately trying to never be disliked, are actually incredibly self-centered. They genuinely believe everyone else exists just to look at them.
This is a super painful, almost suffocating realization for the youth. For his whole life, he thought his fear of judgment meant he was this caring, sensitive person who was mindful of others. But the brutal reality, his people-pleasing, was really just an obsession with himself. He only cared about his own reflection in other people's eyes.
So what's the fix? The answer is something called community feeling. The philosopher explains that finding real happiness doesn't come from acting like you're the center of the universe. It comes from realizing you're just one tiny part of a much larger whole, and then actively stepping up to contribute to that community. It's this massive shift from always asking, what will this person give me, to what can I give to this person?
To actually build this community feeling, we have to create those horizontal relationships we talked about earlier. And here's the kicker. That means you don't scold people, but you also don't praise them, because praising someone implies a hierarchy, like a superior patting an inferior on the head. Instead, you offer encouragement as a total equal. You recognize that everyone has inherent worth just by simply being alive, not just for what they can produce or achieve.
Now, as we get to the final night, the youth puts up his last, desperate wall of resistance. He is absolutely terrified of being ordinary. To him, just accepting himself for simply being alive sounds like a recipe for a completely pointless, humdrum life. He really feels like he has to be either exceptionally superior or exceptionally bad, just to prove that his life actually matters.
But the philosopher offers him this beautifully calming reassurance. He tells him being normal is not the same as being incapable. True self-acceptance, it starts with having the sheer bravery to just be delightfully ordinary. You don't have to put on a performance or constantly flaunt your superiority to justify taking up space on this earth. You just need the courage to be normal.
This ties in perfectly with how Adler views time itself. See, life isn't a solid, linear track stretching from the past into the future. It's really just a series of standalone dots, isolated moments. The past, it literally doesn't exist anymore. The future, it's a completely pathless path you can't even see yet. The absolute only thing that is real, the only thing happening right now, is this bright, shining moment of the here and now.
And that leads directly to the philosopher's final warning about the greatest life lie. The biggest lie we tell ourselves is that we're somehow stuck in a preparatory stage of life. We tell ourselves, oh, I'll finally be happy when I get that promotion, or I'll live my real life when I find the perfect partner. We are constantly postponing our own lives. Adler challenges us to drop the excuses and live fully and earnestly in the present moment.
Finally, the drama reaches its peak. The youth completely drops his defenses. He steps out of the study into this dazzling morning light and fresh snow, and he undergoes a total transformation. He finally sees it. The world isn't some chaotic, terrifying monster out to get him. The world is actually remarkably simple, and life is too.
And that brings our intense debate to a close, but it leaves one final, lingering question for you. The youth walked out and took his first bold step into the fresh snow. So are you ready to stop postponing your own life? Are you ready to separate your tasks and truly find the courage to be disliked? Think deeply on that as you move forward into your own here and now.